The solution to toxic masculinity usually is that men need to be more emotionally open and expressive regardless of social norms from the patriarchy. Any guy automatically feels chills down their spine when they hear this. This fear is also assumed to be part of the social pressure of toxic masculinity. This social phenomenon is said to be cultivated from male only spaces and male friendships. The Sakuragi Goon Squad friendship dynamics are what people would call toxic masculinity. At first glance, it is just a bunch of secondary characters who are there to ridicule our protagonist Sakuragi Hanamichi, occasionally supporting him in fights and cheering him on, but never really helping his emotional state and issues, thus never having a positive effect in Hanamichi's character development. From what I will show you, they are one of the best examples of male friendships and how men deal with their problems and emotions. What is toxic masculinity? I understand it as a social pressure that men exert on other men to maintain stereotypical personality traits, habits, opinions, life goals, and objectives associated to traditional manhood. This social pressure is said to lead to misogyny, homophobia, and other forms of social intolerance. Trying to maintain this social image only harms men's emotional stability. Those who can't keep their heads above the man enough threshold will have to repress the negative feelings regarding their life failures. Those who fail and let their emotions out are considered weak and become laughingstock of other men. As a result, most men are considered ticking time bombs of emotion that can lead to sinful and criminal consequences. In the series Slam Dunk, this is represented by Hanamichi's constant rambling about being a tensai genius basketball player just to attract the girl he's interested in, Haruko. He desperately tries to keep this image and is constantly made fun of by his friends when he fails to do so. The more he tries to keep this image, the more jealous he becomes of Haruko's crush, Rukawa. The more his friends make fun of him, and the more reckless he becomes to try to impress her and shut his doubters.
取り方が悪いんだ。俺はこんな打ち方してねえぞ。してるって。認めん。おめえカメラになんか細工しただろうが。でなきゃ天才桜木がこんな打ち方。俺は天才桜木。
天才ね。なるほど、これが天才か。
いや、だからこれは違うって。
Toxic masculinity itself is a very provocative and misleading expression. Hearing it from another woman's voice sounds like a fly on a summer's night. Yes, annoying. But why though? Is the truth annoying, or is it because whoever says it is ill-intentioned? I think it boils down to something simple. Yup. Men don't want help from women. Period. We don't. We really don't. We don't want help from women. Is it pride? Does it stem from toxic masculinity as well? As I would argue, it's mostly inconvenient. First, an emotional man who is not in control of their emotions is dangerous or will be interpreted that way by individuals physically weaker than him. Men can express their positive and negative feelings in a slightly violent way. Just watch a football fan react to a clutch winning goal or any hyped up group of men. Since women are physically weaker than them, they will most likely be perceived as aggressive or brutes. Thus, men shouldn't just outburst their feelings freely in front of women. Therefore, men can only be emotional in front of other men who can deal with their physical strength. In other words, a good and reliable circle of friends. Hanamichi is portrayed as a violent teenager with constant anger outbursts. These are either suppressed by his friends or his team captain Akagi, which is physically stronger than him, or eventually it leads to a fight. The show plays on the fact that Hanamichi calms down every time he sees the girl he likes, conveniently. When Hanamichi's positive emotions are let out, he's still portrayed as a nuisance and a brute to other people. But of course, this is not something that can be applied to reality. Men need to be aware of their size and strength and how they are perceived by the rest of society. Besides, men cannot really speak in full honesty to women without sounding insensitive. Something women are always careful of doing, no matter what is being told and to who it's being told, especially other women. Second, unfortunately, men don't always have friends around them to help them stay emotionally sane. Most men, when interacting with their friends, tend to focus on the positive aspects of life and avoid serious conversations, relying a lot on dark humor and making fun of each other's insecurities. This often doesn't result in those insecurities and feelings being taken seriously, which leads to future sinful or criminal consequences. In other words, there is a pressure for men to perform in order not to be a laughingstock of their friends' jokes. The Sakuragi Goon Squad is constantly poking at Hanamichi. In a way, male friends poke at each other through comedy to not only diminish the importance of their failures, but also to push each other to take the necessary steps to improve themselves. But of course, some jokes can go too far, and some people can't take a joke. It all comes down to the limits of disrespect people in the group are willing to take. The Goon Squad constantly makes fun of Hanamichi and they constantly get headbutted by him. None of them feels that any of those occurrences are worthy of breaking the friendship. Well, it's just a joke. Well, it's just Hanamichi. Is this toxic masculinity? Does it lead to toxic behavior? Well, if your friends are pieces of immorality and you don't care, and you just go along with it, it says more about your personality than the entire male gender. Male friendships are not all gatherings of immorality. You're the one with the distorted personality, or you let others guide your moral values. Third, being open about our feelings, however, doesn't mean that we've solved the real cause of the emotional instability. Most of the time, women deal and express their feelings in what can be identified as female toxicity. Women sometimes get together to complain about the negative aspects of life to the point of not being grateful of what they have. This leads to a victim mentality and eventually complacency. Women will easily accept terrible life situations simply because they can relieve their feelings with their friends afterwards, like bad jobs and bad relationships. Is it unfair to call it toxic femininity? Yep. There are women with good friendships and good advice, just as there are men who think they are victims of anything and everything. We saw a similar moment in the series when Miyagi and Hanamichi began to get along with each other and expressed and accepted each other's feelings regarding female rejection. Even though they found comfort in each other, they didn't really work towards solving the problem afterwards. They used each other as an emotional outlet and nothing else. Fourth, some men opt to repress their feelings to focus on their life objectives and success, hoping that the compensation of achieving those goals will compensate that emotional instability. When it's not possible to achieve something concrete that justifies repressing our feelings, men tend to fall into addictions. Addictions are quick and easy means of satisfaction. Only when used to the extreme do they have horrible consequences in men's lives. But how not to? It's easy to fall into this era when the rest of life isn't going well and negative feelings are accumulating. Addiction to gambling, unreasonable violence, drinking, porn, gaming, football, gyms, drugs, sex, food. Addictions only put off solving the problems in our lives that are the source of the negativity. For Hanamichi and the Goon Squad, that addiction is violence. Getting into random fights and solving every problem with violent behavior. They are just stress releases of their life status quo. The Goon Squad just follows Hanamichi around not just because they are friends, they do it to entertain their boredom and their lack of goals and purpose.
ようやくかけるもんが見つかったってとこかな。お前もなんか見つけろよ、オークス。
なんだよ、傭兵。じゃあお前はなんかあんのか？
俺？さあ、よくわかんねえな。
やっぱり。ああ、退屈だ。
What if the problems we have in life have no solution? If they're not easy to solve on our own, do we have no choice but to fall into addictions? In part, releasing our feelings to others and using them as an emotional outlet keeps the status quo more bearable. It keeps us complacent. Can men do it repeatedly? Go to our friends and whine about the same problem over and over again? Friends would have advised us already on the best course of action. If even after following their advice we can solve our problems, we either throw in the towel and make fun of our own failures, or others will. The Sakuragi Goon Squad makes fun of Hanamichi's repeated losses against love and against basketball because he's not facing the root of the problem, himself. Hanamichi's over-the-top ego keeps him from improving and admit his weaknesses. He's not good at football or popular with women. Do you think his friends haven't tried to advise them before? They already did and nothing changed. Thus, instead of consoling him, they take the other approach, which is to mock him. Whenever Hanamichi seems to make small progress, they know he will get cocky and fail his objectives. Thus, they devalue and are cautious of those achievements. But when the results of him working hard towards the solutions really start to bear fruit, they are hyped up and cheer him on. How can women who care for us be of any help? When a man has problems in his life, the only thing we need from a woman is affection. It's peace. We don't need questions, solutions, or opinions. Why is that? Why are we so cold to you? Well, we are practically weak. Yes, we are weak. And if you have to choose between your affection and solving the coldness of our problems and dreams, we would always choose to remain in the warmth. We have to be strong and choose to move forward with only one vote of encouragement and a small rest. We cannot remain in the comfort. As men, we cannot remain in the warmth. We got a beautiful moment of this in the series by Haruko herself. She consoles Hanamichi after a defeat in an important game where he made a serious mistake. While the Goon Squad just waited for him to recover by himself, Haruko looks to find Hanamichi. She reminds him of the good things he did on the court, his progress, and that anyone can fail. This one was in fact a beautiful moment where a woman intervened in a man's emotional state. If this would have happened repeatedly though, suddenly Hanamichi would not have the same response, which was training harder and shaving his head in atonement for his failures, which made him laughingstock of the entire school. If his dear crush was always there to console him, he would have become complacent and weak for sure, eventually stop trying to get better at basketball and repeat the same mistakes. What about the men who have neither male nor female support? Is there nothing you can do for your mental health? The last resort would be professional help. But in the end, my advice is that you should value the friends you have above all else. If how the Sakuragi Goon Squad deal with Hanamichi's emotions is what is called toxic masculinity, I call it a true male friendship. Despite always being there to make fun of Hanamichi, they know him better than anyone. They are always there to bring him down to earth and not be too cocky.
まさに春だな。幸せだな。
おい花道、今までの経験から言ってたな。あんましのぼせ上がると後でショックが大きいぞ。つまり振られた時の。春子ちゃんは確かに可愛いよ。おとなしくて性格も良さそうだ。
そうだろう。
お前そんな子に彼氏がいないと思う？男はほっとかんぜ普通。
やっぱりルカワ君が彼氏なんでしょうか。
違いますよ。ルカワ君は私のことなんて知らないのよ。
何？見ろ、何が彼氏だバロー。ほらほら、俺の一人勝ちだ。ほら。かけてやがったなあいつら。
花道がバスケ部に入部して1週間か。ちょっとは上達したかな。
いや、そろそろやめる頃だろ。
あ
あいつはマジに部活に打ち込むなんてガじゃねえもんな。
大丈夫だったか。花道のやつもろ予想通り。
そう来なくちゃ俺たちも一肌脱いだ甲斐がないってもんだぜ。
まったくだ。花道にはまだまだ退場記録を伸ばしてもらわねえとな。昨日やっぱり俺結構すごかった。
あの大歓声が聞こえなかったのか。
俺なんか上手くなってきた。
天才なんだろ。
経験ゼロのてめえらには分からねえんだ。なんつうかこの微妙な女心ってもんがよ。
何偉そうに。
花道だって恋愛経験はゼロじゃねえのか。
失恋経験は超豊富だけどな。
怪我とかしてなきゃいいけど。
いや、そういう心配じゃなくてさ、結構屈辱だもんな。
ああ、屈辱だよ。
はっきり言ってダンクに行ったのにぶっ飛ばされたんだぜ。
いくらバスケのプレーでのこととはいえ、
昔の花道ならそっか切れてるぜ。
昔のってそんなに昔じゃねえだろう。そう簡単に変わるかよ。どうにか元に戻ったな、あいつ。
やれやれ、世話を焼かせよ。
大丈夫なのに、桜木くんももう立派なバスケットマンだもの。乱闘なんてする気なかったはずよ。
あいつはやるやつなんだよ。甘いよ、春子ちゃん。
まあ
ダメだ、花道は。
最初だけだったな、目立ったのは。今はまるで集中力が感じられん。
見ろ。もはや春子ちゃんの眼中に花道はいね
なんかいろいろ余計なこと考えすぎなんじゃねえかな。誰もあいつがルカみたいにやるなんて思っちゃいねえんだから。
集中力が出てきたわ、桜木くん。
え。ああ、夢中で動いて余計な雑念が消えた。
もともと単純王なんだから何も考えなきゃいいんだよ。
言えてるぜ。
今あいつの頭にあるのはもう勝つことだけだ。しかし放課後のバスケ部見物ってのももう日課になっちまったな。
なんせ笑かしてくれるからな、花道のやつ。
この間もダンクしようとして失敗してリングに頭ぶつけたもんな。
そうそう。
They're always there to watch him. They are always there during his big achievements.
アンビリーバブルや。アンビリーバブルや。おお、ヒーズアンビリーバブル。おお、信じられん。あの初心者花道が天才を止めた。
あの単純王だ。
あの万年空の男が。
信じられん。
神様、花道様、花道様、花道様。
花道大シュート。神奈川ナンバーワンを
吹っ飛ばした。奇跡が起こった。
いいぞ、花道。
報われた。俺たちの汗と涙の日々が。
They are always there to fight and defend his important interests.
バスケ部。何なんだおめえら。バスケ部の誰と揉めたんだよ。
いいからさっさと言え。ほらほら、教えろよ。相手はどこだよ。
こいつ相当頭悪いな。
何考えてやるな。
結局言わなかったな、バカ。
誰だ。ああ、そっちには体育館しかないぜ。何するつもりだ。さあ行くぞ。の味方参上。
あいつら桜木軍団。
もうバスケット部には関わらないと言え。この体育館には二度と来ないと言え。
大丈夫か、お前たちだけで。
あ、
悪いぜ。
ちょろいちょろい。
あとは任せるぜ。
任されてやるさ。
They are always there to control his violent outbursts.
今のうちに花道の交代だ。あ、こっちだ。早くしろ。追いつかれる。花道、
ごま。
They even help him out as wingman.
春子ちゃん、今帰り。
They lie for him and try to get him out of trouble.
バスケ部に戻るなんて言うからちょっと頭きてやっちゃいました。バスケ部も三井さん、すいません。
傭兵。
あ、堀田先輩。
すいません。
実はそうなの。
俺たちが
な、堀田番長。
組長。
大統領。
そうです。
They are willing to work to watch him play. You cannot babysit a man more than this.
てかないと。
交通費とか大変だから。
広島遠いからな。
広島ってそれじゃあ。
実は俺たちも花道の応援で広島までインターハイ見に行こうと思って。いや、バイトでな。
命がけだったんだぜ。
金稼ぐのも楽じゃねえよな。
おかげで儲かったけどな。金？そうだ、すっかり忘れてた。
何を？
合宿の費用だ。お前はその金貸してくれ。倍にして返すからな。
おい花道、
返せよ。だから合宿終わったら倍にして返してやるって。そんなこと言ってまともに返したことなんて。
They cannot deal more with his emotions besides being punching bags for his anger outbursts. They are men, so they always use comedy to hide their concern for him. They will always make fun of each other.
ひどい。みんな桜木くんの友達でしょ。桜木くん一生懸命やってるのに。前半20分くらいは持つかな。きっと
魔法中サンバカトリオとはこいつらのことだ。
なんだというへこら。笑うな花道。バカ王はおめえだろ。
But that's just how men are.
夢か。